guys. Welcome back to OnPoint Quarantine Edition. Today's interview is with Joe and Alana Phillips. Joe is a pastor in Knoxville, Tennessee, and United Methodist pastor in Knoxville, Tennessee, and his wife works with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, raising funds for cancer research and treatment and whatnot. And they have a really cool story, and that's a weird word to use, I think, because it could have not been, but they have a daughter who was diagnosed with a brain tumor when she was just a little baby, and they're going to tell their story, so I won't try to repeat it here, but they have taken what was a tragic situation and turned it into something that I think can be called nothing short of a miracle of God. And so I wanted to share with you guys their story, and they are also the founders of the Hustle for Hope 5K, which is a 5K that raises money for not only cancer research, but for Lighthouse Ministries, which is a beach camp retreat ministry, which they will explain also, that brings families in who have children who are going through cancer treatment. And it sounds like it's just, one of the truest forms of the church I've ever heard of. And so I wanted to share this with you guys, their story and their hearts, and I think you guys will be moved. So thanks so much, and here's Joe and Alana.
All right. We are here with Joe and Alana Phillips. They are the founders for Tillery's Hustle for Hope 5K. Hey, guys. How are you guys doing?
Hey,
doing good. Doing good.
Can you guys tell us just a little bit about yourselves before we get going?
You're the spokesperson. So. You probably should have figured this out.
So we're Joe and Alana Phillips. We have two kids, Luke and Tillery. Luke is 8 and Tillery is 6. And we live in Knoxville, Tennessee. And I guess we're going to talk about our run today, but it's named in honor of our daughter Tillery.
Okay. And Joe, you're a United Methodist pastor, right? And
yes, 12 years, 13 years.
13 years. And Alana, you work for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society?
I do fundraising in schools.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, I wanted to bring you guys on here to talk about Tillery's Hustle for Hope. Can you just tell us how it got started, why it got started, what it is?
Yes, so our daughter Tillery was diagnosed with a cancerous brain tumor when she was 15 months old, and she's had 17 surgeries, 2 years of chemotherapy, and now at 6 years old, she's a cancer survivor. And so we started Tillery's Hustle for Hope 4 years ago as a way to give back to a lot of childhood cancer organizations and to recognize childhood cancer heroes in our community and people who we've met along our journey. So this is our fourth year for the event, and it's actually looking different this year because of what we're facing in the world.
Right.
But it is a great way that we've been able to tell our story and tell other kids' stories of the childhood cancer journey and be able to raise some awareness.
Now, in the past, this has been an actual event that people come to and run. You have a course and everything, but this year it's different, you said. So how is it different this year?
Yes, so normally this event's the third Saturday in May, and it happens at Victor Ashe Park here in Knoxville. It's about a mile from our house, so it's nice and close for us. And we have a 5K course, and we also have a 1 mile course, and we are able to gather together. We have a lot of childhood cancer families here from Knoxville that come out. We're able to recognize them and tell a little about them and their children and recognize them at the event. But this year we have opted to make our race a virtual race. so that everyone can stay safe. We're especially thinking of those childhood cancer families who really cannot be exposed at all right now.
Right.
So in an effort to kind of keep those most vulnerable people protected, we're just going to keep everybody safe and stay home. So as a virtual race, we've always had a virtual option. We send people a t-shirt and allow them to run from wherever they are, or if they don't want to run, they can walk, or they can cheat and not even do it. That's okay with us. and so that's what we'll be doing this year. We'll still send out those t-shirts. And this year, because everybody's virtual, we're going to do a Facebook Live start. So we'll be able to make some announcements at the start and kind of shoot off an air horn to get everybody to go at the same time.
That's awesome.
Our neighborhood is really going to love that.
Yes, our neighbors will love the air horn.
We're not going to tell them.
So you said this benefits like childhood cancer organizations. What organizations do you typically help out with this 5K?
I'll tell you.
Okay.
First, we started out supporting Alex Lemonade Stand Foundation. They were very helpful to us when we started our journey with Tillery, providing assistance for gas cards and things of that nature. And they also have a branch of their foundation that supports a lot of cancer research. The parents who started that lost their daughter to a brain tumor. And so we were very involved with that. We've done some lemonade stands throughout the last 5-6 years for them. But once we went on our first Lighthouse retreat, which we'll talk about in a few moments, that really changed our focus. There are a lot of amazing organizations that help raise funds for cancer research through the whole gamut, for kids and adults and what have you. But Lighthouse is really special to our heart because of what's done for our family and what we see it does for other families. And it seems it's not unique in itself, because there are other organizations that do beach retreats and mountain retreats and lakeside retreats, but it's not as much. And so we've shifted our focus from supporting research for cures, which we still do in September, but for this particular event, it's strictly for Lighthouse, which provides a 1-week beach retreat for families with children with cancer.
Okay, so yeah, talk about Lighthouse a little bit. How did you guys find out about it? What has your experience been with it?
I'll let you take it because you found it. No, I did this kicking and screaming.
Yes, Joe did not want to go on a Lighthouse retreat because it is it's a community. And so Lighthouse invites 10 to 12 childhood cancer families to come on this retreat together. And then when you get there, you are paired up with volunteer families that come and give their time to serve you for the week. And so our family was able to go on 2 retreats over 2 different summers while our daughter was on treatment, and paired up with a family who came alongside us and just loved on us. And they did everything from doing our laundry and cleaning our condo to serving us meals and playing with our kids. And it gave us an opportunity to really come together as a family. Took a lot of those day-to-day stressors off and gave us this opportunity to have this nice, relaxing time together where we didn't really have to plan anything or think through anything. All we had to do is sign up to come, and they planned everything, and we had just enough time of being together just as a family and being together as part of that community that really did create a little family group there as well. But part of that retreat is every morning for 2 hours, the parents, the childhood cancer parents, split off from their kids. All the kids go off together in a time called flip flop, where they just play, and they have all of the volunteers that come together play with them and just show them a whole lot of love and attention that a lot of them have been really wanting to have. A lot of those kids that have been in the hospital, or the siblings who haven't really gotten to see a lot of people, they just get this playtime that's tons of fun. And then for the parents, we have an opportunity to share the stories of the journey that what we've gone through. And then the people who facilitate that time for the parents is called Common Ground. The leaders who facilitate that lead discussions that goes down a path of how faith and how your spiritual journey has been affected by your childhood cancer diagnosis and the journey that you've been on. And so after 2 years of being a retreat family, we were able to come back and serve. So the past 2 summers, we've gone back as a family. Our kids have played with the other kids, and Joe and I have gotten the opportunity to lead those common ground discussions,
That's awesome.
working with the parents.
Now I assume this is of no cost to the families coming on the retreat, or yeah.
You want to talk about fundraising?
The volunteers raise all the money. It costs about $75,000 for 1 week to host one of these retreats. And so the host family is responsible for raising not just the money for their family, but they also have to raise money for the family that is coming to the retreat. And so they do a variety of things. If you ever get involved in this, you see people do give back nights to local restaurants. There's golf tournaments, do a 5K. There's lemonade stands. People make jewelry. It's amazing what people do to come up to raise this money. And then there's some people who are blessed enough, they just write a check. They just write that check and then they just come down. That's incredible. But yeah, the host families raise the money for themselves and their retreat families. And that often sometimes requires airline tickets. The host families don't pay for any of that. They have to fly. They are given, like I said, travel assistance. And then once they get there, everything's taken care of. And then just to go back to what she was saying, how they take care of everything. When you remove for 1 week the stress of having to do dishes and laundry, that just really frees up the family to be a family. It's amazing. I didn't realize just how much stress those everyday things were in our lives. And so when it was removed, well, in our case for 2 different weeks, wow, it makes a huge difference. And so people might ask, well, why do you want them to wash your laundry? Well, we didn't. But they're pretty adamant about doing that and then letting that be part of what they do. But it's a very powerful week.
So
our families reconnect.
Are all the volunteers childhood cancer families, or are there some that are not?
No, that's what's amazing. These people, they come in just wanting to serve and just to love people. And some of them hear about the Lighthouse Family Retreat or Blue Skies or whatever other organization from other people. We know a group that comes out of Virginia, some good friends of ours. They started out, one couple, and their kids came as a retreat family, experienced Lighthouse, went back to their home church and shared about their experience. And now their church sends enough volunteers for 2 weeks in North Carolina. They fund it, and they give the volunteers for it. It's a huge part of their church ministry, and their only exposure is through that family that first went.
That's awesome.
7 years ago, I believe.
Yeah, and Lighthouse has started doing that, kind of creating partnerships with churches to use it as a mission trip, because it is a very family.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's very family focused. So, I mean, even our kids are able to have a role on retreat. So it's something that you can do with any age, I think 5 and older, but any age kids can come and have the opportunity to serve. So our kids have helped with things like, carrying food and light cleaning. They don't clean at our house, but they'll clean there, and, things like that. But, the role of the kids is really just to play and love on kids and make them all have this opportunity to feel like kids again, because a lot of them feel isolated because their friends back home maybe see them differently, having seen them through this childhood cancer walk. And so I know this past year, one of the most powerful things for me was watching a kid who was 18, and he had a lot of struggles with walking because of his chemotherapy. And so had been kind of ostracized from his teenage friends a lot because of the things he had to miss out on. And to just watch him on the last night of retreat when they have a talent show, and to watch him with this group of teenage guys who were helping him do this whole lip sync dance song routine, it was just hilarious.
Which he was the star of.
He was the star of it. And it was just great to see a group of teenage guys coming alongside and just letting him be a teenage guy. It was awesome.
And 2 years ago, Herschel, 2 years ago, we went on a retreat, and one of the volunteers She was an elderly lady who just had a heart attack
Oh my gosh.
just a few weeks before, and her church still encouraged her to come. She said, I won't be able to do anything. And sure enough, Lighthouse found something for her to do. For 1 week, 5 days, she held this little newborn
Oh,
sibling of one of the families. And that was her ministry that week. She just held this little infant so everything could take place. And the family appreciated it. They just appreciated it because they bonded, as you can imagine, a little infant
yeah.
and this woman. And so what I'm trying to say is, if you're watching this video, can I do this? They have something for everybody to do. Everybody has a role that they can play at Lighthouse Family Retreat.
So there's no crying at all during this week that you're there, right? Like it doesn't.
Only behind closed doors. We don't cry in public.
It's a lot.
I don't know about you,
But
but
it really is. I will say on that, though, there's a lot more laughter than tears.
Well,
it is a very uplifting.
Especially when you get to the end. See, common ground, when we meet with these parents, the very first couple of days, there's a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, a lot of just, I mean, there's release because this is the first time for a lot of these folks, Herschel, that this is their first time of being able to talk about their journey with other folks who understand.
Yeah.
They have some well-intentioned family members and friends who have tried to help, and they just can't.
Right.
They don't understand. And so this is the first time that these parents have gathered and in this environment, and we experience a lot of. I've been afraid sometimes that someone's going to hit me, not because they're mad at me. They're just this bit of frustration they have about insurance companies, misdiagnoses, whatever the case may be. So there is a lot of anger those first 2 days, but then something just amazing happens to the Holy Spirit on Wednesday night. Each night's a theme night at Lighthouse. And there's something that happens on Wednesday night when the kids are by themselves. They have an unbirthday party, which they all just celebrate and eat a bunch of cake and pizza and squirt whipped cream at everybody. It's crazy. And the parents go on a date night. And we take them out, and the Lighthouse pays for everything. Wednesday night, something incredible happened. Transformation in the spirit. And Thursday and Friday in Common Ground is just an amazing 2 days of laughter, joy, something else. See that transformation is just so powerful, very powerful.
That's awesome. How would you say that this is like shaped your faith over the last few years being involved? Well, I mean, you can go back as far as with Tillery or just these last few years doing the hustle for hope and working with Lighthouse and Alex's lemonade stand.
How much time do we have?
As much time as you need, man.
No, I'll say, I think, I mean, obviously when you go through something, it's just such a roller coaster of any sort of medical diagnosis where there's so much uncertainty. And, with ours, when Tillery was first diagnosed, there was a lot of not knowing if she was going to survive. And so just the grappling with that, here's a baby, and, we don't know if she's going to live. And what do you do with that as parents who are supposed to be the ones that take care of her? And so there was definitely a lot of clinging to our faith and putting a lot of trust in God, and just kind of throwing everything at him, because you don't have anywhere to turn. You don't know where to turn. And, I mean, we didn't know anybody who'd gone through that. We didn't know how you go through that. And so I know we each, we all do that differently. And so, even for us together, I mean, our relationship's really strong, but we each kind of, the way that we sorted through it was a little different. And so I think that having that faith there that had already been there to help ground us was huge. And the big thing that we see, or especially when we first went on the Lighthouse retreat, was that there's a lot of people that don't have that faith grounding. And we thought, man, I mean, I think that was when it really hit us, when we went on that Lighthouse retreat and we saw these people who were not believers, or people who had lost their faith along the journey. And we looked at each other and said, how would we have done this if we didn't have our faith? And how would we have done this? We watch a lot of people who didn't have a faith before who are trying to find it in that journey. And it's like, that is such a hard time to try to find that and to try to understand, because even as believers who were strong in our faith before, there's still a lot of going, God, why us? Why is this happening right now? And how is this going to turn out? And, every time we go to him in prayer and say, save our child, then we go and save the child next door and save the child down the hall and save every child in this hospital. Like, what, where do you stop with that prayer? And, so I know.
She says it's different. We were separated. I stayed with Luke down in Saudi Daisy, which is 6 hours from Cincinnati, which is where Tillery and Alana were at for 7 months getting treatment. And I continued to work. I continued to preach from the pulpit and teach Sunday school and what have you. And I would drive back and forth every week. And the saving grace for me is, so my job required that I spend time in the Word every single week. And then through that spending time in the Word, obviously my faith just blossomed and grew leaps and bounds, because we were going through this struggle. I was asking those questions, and God was answering them in some pretty powerful ways. And so, which led to us to answer your part B of your question of why did we decided to do a 5K? Why did we decide to do the things that we do? We see others don't have that faith. We see others don't have that hope. We see others who are not able to experience God's joy in the midst of these struggles. And so we try to find ways to enable folks to experience some small way Jesus Christ. And Lighthouse does that in a very powerful way. It's the church we all want to be a part of. When we read Acts and go, this is church, where can I find it? Lighthouse does that. Lighthouse provides each of us, Alana and I, an opportunity to be in a church setting where people give unselfishly. There's no talk. It's just amazing. All these different people from all over the country gather for 1 week with this common goal. I'm talking about the volunteers, to love these 10 to 12 families. And there's no politics. We kid jokingly sometimes about different sports teams or what have you, but it's not an issue. And so all these things that are a divider in our everyday world, when we get to Lighthouse, is gone. It just does not exist. And so we get to experience church in its purest, most divine, and in my viewpoint, most holy of settings. And it's so powerful. And again, to see that transformation I was talking about earlier, people who are angry, lost, confused, and it's just with common ground with us, it's just really 72 hours, Tuesday morning to Friday morning. And seeing that transformation, Herschel, is just, it's unbelievable. It really is. And it's just seeing what the Holy Spirit can do when we take us out of the way. And so, but we met these families who were struggling, and we try to think of ways that we could just let them experience what we experience on the inside. And by doing these things, we feeds that need, I guess, for us.
Yeah. And our race, the Tillery's Hustle for Hope, has been an opportunity for us to reach out to local families. It's been a way for us to find local childhood cancer families, because they hear about our run, or maybe they hear about it through the hospital and come out. And so, I mean, we'll meet families on race day that, say, oh, well, my child's in the hospital right now. And we have this opportunity to talk to them. And we stay in touch with those local families. And we actually kind of have a local community of childhood cancer families. Joe's got a dad's group here locally of dads who all have children with cancer or had children with cancer. And then, the moms have been, we get out and have coffee and have dinner together sometimes too. And so, being able to kind of build that community here. And, Joe and I, every time we leave the beach with a Lighthouse retreat, we always say, how can we do Lighthouse at home? How can we do this? So we're slowly finding ways to be able to do some of that. And, people know that we're here locally to reach out. So when somebody does get diagnosed, we like to try to, reach out to them. And when we're not in a pandemic, we like to go by the hospital and visit them, but that's not really able to happen right now. But, just ways that we can kind of reach out and say, hey, we've been there and we want to help you through this. And it's also given us opportunity to tell them about Lighthouse to be able to get more local families to go on those retreats.
And the men's group that I'm a part of started, Herschel, because last year local family went on a retreat, but they also ran in our 5K, and they met us through that. And the guy actually won the race. His name's John. He was phenomenal. But when they came back, he and I started talking, and he said, we got to do something. And we agreed that, because men struggle to talk about these feelings we have, especially with this environment. Hey, Sellers, how you doing, buddy?
Say hey, Mr. Joe. Hey, Miss Alana.
Hey.
But from our small group in seminary, guys struggle in the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Talk about things, and so John and I got together, and we kept thinking about ways to have that community. And so we started this men's group. We got about 7 guys that meet, until
it takes shared experience, right?
We met every week.
Yeah.
And and all the guys admitted how much this has been just an incredible time, healing. There was one guy, part of the group, that he was angry. He didn't want to talk to anybody. He was ready. We met him. We thought he was going to punch both of us the very first time we met him. He just had this anger. Great guy. But he just had this stuff.
Well, yeah.
And over the course of time of our group meetings, he's mellowed out a great deal. And
that's incredible.
He's a joy to be around. And yeah.
Well, you guys are an inspiration to Lee and I. We talk about y'all all the time and how incredible you guys are, and just because we see your posts all the time and how faithful you are and how positive and encouraging you guys are through all of this. And like you said, it's not easy to do that. You see all these families that it's not easy to do that. So we're really thankful. Before we go, can you just give us some links or websites to where people can go sign up if they need to?
Yes, hustleforhope5k.com. You can go on there and either make just a donation, or you can register for the run. It's $25. And the race date is May 16th. And so we'll send you a t-shirt if you register. And then if you're interested in learning about Lighthouse, it's lighthousefamilyretreat.org is their website. You can learn more about that and learn more about how to be a family partner to come out and volunteer with us. And if it's anything anybody's interested in, Herschel has our information, and we'd love to talk to you about how to volunteer and come join us on retreat sometime.
And then you can follow our journey on Facebook. We have a page, Tillery, that's Tillery, is loved. We're an open book about this journey and how it impacts us. We show the good with the bad, because there's definitely a lot of bad, but there's also reasons to rejoice and weep and celebrate life. And so again, that's Tillery is loved, and you can always contact us through that.
Yeah. All right. Well, awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for the
brother.
opportunity.
Bless.
Thanks.